Mabuhay, Kamusika, welcome. How are you? This is Bob from Love Beyond the Sea. There are many ways to keep your Filipina from changing, and I want to talk about that today. And this will be an upload converted from a live stream I did about a year ago, and it's about keeping your wife Filipinized, maintaining the attributes that attracted you to her in the first place. After I married my Filipino wife in May of 2015, I've been watching YouTube videos, reading about foreigners and Filipinas, and I want to learn all I can about having a good relationship with my wife. I decided to start a YouTube channel called Love Beyond the Sea about marital love with my wife, a Filipina. And my intent is to encourage foreign men to marry a Filipina, help them have a good relationship with them. And I got a lot of videos made, many more I would like to make. And there's one particular topic, this is, that I hadn't even thought about till after I married her, and that is the possibility she could change. And a lot of people are concerned about that, so I thought I would make a video about this. Please subscribe to Love Beyond the Sea and share videos to help encourage men to find the love of their life, a Filipina. And keep up with the notifications by tapping the bell, and please comment on this topic. You can go to the newly formed Love Beyond the Sea Community Corner, a new message forum, and I will have a link for you in the description box. And many men have been victimized by this change, and so the scenario I want to talk about today is a foreign man is with a Filipino wife in America, could be any westernized country, and he's heard about this phenomenon of some Filipinas morphing into the type of woman he didn't want to marry in the first place. So what do I mean by Americanized? Real quick, that word has to do with an attitude, a bad one, feministic, selfish, not committed, money hungry, divorcing her husband for his money. She'll want to party, cover herself with tattoos, maybe build muscle. The fear is that this sweet, caring, frugal Filipina you thought you married is now selfish, makes bad financial decisions, and doesn't want to cook for her husband or make a nice place to live in. Another way to look at it is that you'll marry a woman from a different culture, one that you find endearing, only to bring her to America, and slowly she erodes into the type of woman you were looking to get away from by seeking someone in the Philippines. I think Filipinas make great wives. A man should still pursue them for marriage, young or old. But if a guy is really concerned about her changing or becoming Americanized, he could talk himself out of it. Here are some things you could do that might help prevent such transformation, to be prepared once she has arrived in the West. So feel free to make comments. Anyone can do these. I think it's not magical, just practical. The more of them in your repertoire, the better. So let's get started. The foundational idea I have is that the husband is to take responsibility for a healthy and safe culture or environment for her. And the points in this video are derived from this perspective. I'm going to assume that the woman he married is not trying to scam him. And so, it could be that she doesn't feel financially safe. She doesn't feel emotionally attached to this man, after they get married. But most of the video, I'm going to deal with the second half of that second aspect, which is being emotionally attached, although the first aspect is important too. We just need to take responsibility for the things we can control. So first of all, I would tell her, and this is what I've done, that America may not be what she thinks it is. Just prepare her for this. The perception she has of America being some kind of paradise with readily accessible money, all kinds of spare time, is one she might have when she steps off the plane. We know what it's like here since we have lived here, but Filipina might have an inaccurate idea of what it really is like. When we were dating online and we got married quickly, 54 days, she already could tell that by working 6 days a week, I had to be on a regular schedule. That had to stay the same after we were married because of how expensive things are here and how difficult it can be to have enough money to retire here. I think it's okay to tell her that working many hours is normal, and even working into your 60s, some people work beyond that. There isn't always money to do fun things like travel, and budgets are often tight. She will likely need to find a job herself, and some of her earnings might need to go for your expenses as a couple. Her work environment will expect her to be on time, not Filipino time, and her co-workers may not be as lovable and cuddly as they are in the Philippines. And America is a very liberal country in general, and that's something I've made my wife aware about. Weather could be a real factor if it's really cold where you are. And I didn't want my wife to think America was some kind of Shangri-La, a paradise on earth. There are probably more negatives we talked about, but that's all I remember at this time. The more she knows about America before she lives here, the less likely she is to be disillusioned and try to find happiness somewhere else. Also, be upfront with her about your concerns of changing or becoming Americanized. I have talked to my wife about how this country has, a lot of women divorcing their husbands, and a lot of women aren't committed. It's so bad that many men refuse to even get married or get involved with a woman again. And there's no divorce in the Philippines, if you didn't know, but there is no fault divorce in America. I get the impression women might be more committed in the Philippines, and they are certainly more helpful to the elderly in their family. I've talked to my wife about the need to be feminine, unlike many women here who want to, have masculine characteristics. I've seen that in the gyms over the years, and a lot of women willing to live off the government, don't take care of themselves. They hit the bars like they were in their 20s, refuse their husbands in bed, wasteful with money, just want to have so fun and so on. I knew my wife was different when I married her, but I have felt the responsibility to warn her about the environment she is getting into. And I want her to know that I value her the way she is and don't want her to change her attitude or priorities. Another thing you can do is learn about and appreciate the Philippines. I'm sure you love America, and at the same time, remember she loves the Philippines as well. That's where everybody is, and if she had her druthers, she probably would prefer to stay there, but she is coming to be with you, to be your wife. Also, you can listen to music from the Philippines together. I like music in general and would have it on 24 hours a day if I could. But there's love songs from the Philippines my wife likes, and I've got a list of them on the computer. I like to listen to them. Reminds me of those early days, and most of them I don't even know what the words are, but it sounds good. I think she likes hearing them around the house. Eating foods from the Philippines, Filipino type food is important together, and your wife will want to cook her favorite dishes for you, so this is something you would do well to try to like. You can also watch Philippine movies together. You can do this on YouTube or on television. I saw a YouTube video on how to get shows from the Philippines on your television, and my wife has her favorite YouTubers from the Philippines to watch, and I kind of peer over her shoulder now and then, and I see no reason to restrict her from doing the things that she was used to doing. And doing things like this, along with the other things on this list, help keep a Filipina from becoming Americanized or changing. You can also keep up with news from the Philippines. And I like to keep up with news from the Philippines because that's where my wife is from, where her family is. I can ask her about President Duterte, the drug war, infrastructure, bad weather. They've had earthquakes there. And this shows my wife that I want to immerse myself in her life. Occasionally, I will ask her how her family is doing, even how her friends are doing. Never hurts to ask when the next Manny Pacquiao fight is, or this next song that her favorite singer has come out with. One really good point here is don't talk condescendingly about the Philippines. The term third world country, means something to us, but it means something much different to a Filipina. And so my wife bristles at this, and she's talked to me about why. So that's not a term that I want to use. And in general, don't talk condescendingly about where she is from, the Philippines. You can also praise the values that oppose becoming Americanized. And if I want my wife to retain the values and characteristics that caused me to marry her, then I need to be regularly enforcing that by telling her how much I value that. Some other guy could tell her about what he likes about her too, so she must hear it from me more often than anyone else. If I don't want her out partying and drinking, I shouldn't be doing that myself. If she is hardworking, I need to compliment her on that. And I have a video called How to Praise Your Filipino Wife that illustrates the need to recognize her accomplishments. If she is frugal and you like that, let her know. If you like the way she keeps the house, then let her know that too. You can avoid being excessively frugal. I talked about how expensive it is, but you have to be careful not to be excessively frugal and cheap, because there could be a fine line between being smart and frugal and being miserly and restrictive. And being stingy could have the effect of your Filipino wife being swayed by the negative talk of others to think that the grass is greener on the other side. She might be hearing about her coworkers going here and going there, doing this or doing that, and not being aware that they could be in a lot of debt just to do those things. You want to marry a Filipina that gives you no reason to believe that she is materialistic. And there will and should be somewhat of an expectation that being in America, she will have more means than she was in the Philippines. The biggest reason she married a foreigner is to provide a better life for her family and herself. I think that's commendable. She still wants to be a good wife and to be a good wife to her husband. She wanted to find a good man, so she married you. And she'll likely be naturally frugal, but I think you should still help her experience some things that she would like to try. My wife wanted to travel some places in the Midwest where we live, which we did. One day I asked her where she would go if she could go anywhere in the world, and she said Paris. I wasn't planning on taking her there, but we eventually did. Another thing here, in no particular order, have a financial plan for your futures. This helps her to know that you have a long-range view for your future and hers together. My wife has met with my financial advisor several times. We've talked about, where the money is, and how to write checks and online banking and when I die, what she needs to do, who she needs to contact, because when she's 60, she can get my Social Security again. I know that sounds like a million years away for her, but it's something she needs to know. And as we get to the close of this part, another thing here to mention, just be a hard worker, get extra hours if possible if you're not retired. Her knowing that you are making a priority of earning income should be good enough for most women. Sitting around watching sports on television, spending a lot of time on the internet will not. I have worked 6 days a week for decades, with the extra day being overtime. And a Filipino wife, any wife, should appreciate this, along with the other things on this list. You don't want to be a workaholic, though. Just someone she knows is toiling away for the two of you. You don't want to work so hard and so much that it greatly limits your ability to do the things on this list. And there are more of them I will get to in another part. More ways to keep your Filipina wife from changing. So I want to address this topic from a practical standpoint. So stay tuned for more ways right here on Love Beyond the Sea.